clap.
Yo.
What's up, evolutionaries? It's your boy Callie, and I'm back again with another video. If this is your first time tuning into my YouTube channel, welcome to the evolution. And if you are a returning viewer, as always, thank you so much for being here to show your support for the evolutionary life of Callie. Today's video is chapter 23, goal number 11 in the Sustainable Development Goals series, and the topic of today's video is sustainable cities and communities. This is, as mentioned, the 11th goal, which means we have 6 more goals left to finish the 17 Sustainable Development Goals series, and then we'll move on to some other exciting my aim is to do another series of a sort, or maybe just do a few topics here and there. But yes, let's get into the video. As you may or may not know, the video will be split into 3 parts. The first section will focus on the overview of what sustainable cities and communities mean. The second section will focus on the 3 main targets that the United Nations has implemented as it relates to the overall achievement of this topic. And the third and final section will focus on progress and information, which is how far the United Nations has come as it relates to the sustainable cities and communities. Let's get right into it. What does sustainable cities and communities refer to? Sustainable cities and communities refers to a municipal center incorporated by the state or province, a particular place or area considered together with its inhabitants, that is able to be maintained at a certain rate or level. As you know, each topic or each goal has a tagline, and the tagline for this one is sustainable cities and communities. Well, goal number 11, sustainable cities and communities, make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Just to repeat that once more, sustainable cities and communities make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Important facts. Important fact number 1, only half of the world's urban population have convenient access to public transport. Important fact number 2, 156 countries have developed national urban policies, but only half are in the implementation stage. Important fact number 3, convenient access means residing within 500 meters walking distance of a bus stop or low capacity transport system and 100 meters of a railway or ferry terminal. And that concludes the first section of today's video, the overview of what sustainable cities and communities refers to. Now let's move on to the second section of today's video, the 3 main targets that the United Nations has implemented as it relates to the achievement of sustainable cities and communities. Let's get right to it. Now let's move on to the second section of today's video, the 3 main targets that the United Nations has implemented as it relates to the achievement of sustainable cities and communities. Target 11.1, by 2030, ensure access for all to adequate, safe, and affordable housing and basic services and upgrade slums. Target 11.2, by 2030, provide access to safe, affordable, and accessible and sustainable transport systems for all, improving road safety, notably by expanding public transport with special attention to the needs of those in vulnerable situations, women, children, persons with disabilities, and older persons. And target 11.3, by 2030, enhance inclusive and sustainable urbanization and capacity for participatory, integrated and sustainable human settlement, planning and management in all countries. And that concludes the second section of today's video, the three main targets that the United Nations has implemented as it relates to the achievement of sustainable cities and communities. Now let's move on to the third and final section of today's video, progress and information, where we will be discussing how far the United Nations has come as it relates to achieving this topic, or this goal rather, and additional information that you may need. Let's get to it. And finally, we've reached the third and final section of today's video, progress and information. As you may or may not know, I will not be able to read every information that I have on my notepad. However, the link will be left in the description box below, where you can click it and view all the information I mentioned and even more. Let's get into it. Before the pandemic, cities had rising numbers of slum dwellers, worsening air pollution, minimal open public spaces, and limited convenient access to public transport. The number of slum dwellers has continued to grow over the years, exceeding 1 billion in 2018. Slum dwellers are most prevalent in the three regions of Eastern and Southern Eastern Asia, 370 million, Sub-Saharan Africa, 238 million, and Central and Southern Asia, 226 million. According to data from 2019 for 610 cities in 95 countries and territories, about half of the urban population has convenient access to public transport, defined as living within a walking distance of 500 meters to low-capacity transport systems such as buses or trams, and 1,000 meters to high-capacity systems such as trains and ferries. This was also mentioned it was the third important fact in the important facts section. As a result of the COVID-19 response, measures imposed in countries and territories throughout 2020, access to public transport in cities worldwide was significantly disrupted, from partial closures and reduced capacities to total closure of networks. Data on a sample of 911 cities from 114 countries and territories indicate that the share of urban area allocated to streets and open public spaces averaged only about 16% globally in 2020, well below the allocation recommended by the United Nations Human Settlements Program, the UN Habitat, of 30% for streets and an additional 10 to 15% for open public spaces. Of these countries and territories, 38% are in the early stages of planned development, while 13% are monitoring and evaluating the performance of their plans. And that concludes the third and final section of today's video, progress and information. Thank you guys. It's always a pleasure being here to provide you with yet another important topic. And also thank you. It is really appreciated that you take time out to watch these videos to educate yourself, so you can go out there and educate others. As always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and also share to your friends and family members, strangers you come across the road, anybody that you come in contact with. Share. This information is never limited to anyone. It is always good to share with someone. Also, don't forget to leave a comment below. Let me know how you feel about this video, and also provide me with another topic that you'd like me to speak on once this series has ended. And finally, most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. Remember, one more subscriber equals one more supporter against all the human rights infringements, and also the achievement of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, it was my pleasure being here. See you guys next week. Callie is signing out.